Hi everybody. This end bit took considerably longer than I expected. Have you ever had a project and no matter what you do, it just doesn't go the way you expect it, and you have one problem after another? That's what it was like with this light installation. The light installation went really well, which I'll show you in a minute, and they all work as expected. I've got the front a bit too close. I can't get far enough back. I'm going to have to try and find my tripod so I can do better videos than this. But yeah, the lights, let me just show you. I managed to get the two lights on the front, which went really well, which I daisy chained along here. So those two are daisy chained together, blue and yellow wires taped along here with a resistor. The firebox glow light, the installation of that was really good. What I've found is, because it's a small SMD, I use super glue, or not, rather rocket glue. The label's gone off this, but it's rocket glue, which I'm not 100% sure will stick. So I then use the glue gun, and I cover the back of the SMD, so I know it's going to be fairly fixed in position. I then wired that through at the bottom of the tender, not a tender, is it? The bottom of the Roco through the chassis, similar to this, the home before pin plug, and with a resistor, because I put a resistor every single blue wire, the common return, I put a resistor. So there's two resistors in here, one for the front lights and one for the firebox. I then installed, let me just turn it over, let me just sort that out, the plug, the micro plug. Now what I've discovered, which I'm going to change, is the pin setup on the plug. It'd be better now if I reduce the size of that, just snip it in half, so these three pins will be considerably smaller, and then the heat shrink would be half of that size. So it'll be a very small pin coming out, minimum amount of heat shrink used. The reason for that is when I connect this female socket to the male, it interferes because of the length of the heat shrink. So I've discovered it needs to be half that, and even more if we can reduce the size of the pin to solder two. Apart from that, the length of the heat shrink, it went really well, so we'll be reducing that at a later date. So that was the Roco. The middle tender, I need some advice on this as well. The middle tender, again, went really well. It's got the speaker, stay alive capacitor, and the Zimo sound decoder in there. There's the female, no, the male, sorry, plug. Again, as mentioned with the Roco, they're too long, the pin's too long, and the heat shrink, because it makes it too rigid. I mean, it's very flexible there, but when connected to the Roco, it's a bit too rigid. And you can see the pins there now. Snip. They need snipping in half. And then again, as mentioned, the minimum amount of heat shrink to use, and then you get far less resistance when they're kind of coupled up together. But it works really well. And I put one red light on the back here and a 2-pin coming out the back. I won't repeat myself about the pins. So the pin comes out and goes into the rear tender. That went really well. The installation went. I'm very pleased. I don't know whether it's just me, but every time I pick something up, a loco up, the parts seem to panic and run off everywhere. Every time I pick a loco up, something falls off and runs away. So there's a lot of gluing needed because the buffers have come off on this one, the buffer beam, and the brake pipes came off. And also, this is where I need advice. The little, I don't know, knob or whatever, little catch there that hooks in when you put the front of the tender on to hold the tender down at the front, and then you screw it on. That damn thing broke off. You can just see it there, and it hooks into this little hole there. Has anybody else had a similar problem to this? And is there another method as opposed to gluing it? Because the only thing I can think of is to glue the front down now. If someone else has another idea, please let me know. But that's the only thing that really gone wrong that's causing me problems. Actually, no, it's not. The wiring installation and the lights all work really, really well. The problem I had was with the decoder. The front lights and the far rear red light are connected to the white, which is a default front lights. The yellow is the green. Now I wanted this tender and the loco to come on at the same time. And would you believe it? It wouldn't. The lights came on and wouldn't go off. And I thought, I wonder if I got a short somewhere. So checked and double checked all the connections, and it still wouldn't work. It turned out in the end that the power to the yellow lead, no sorry, the white lead was there, 12 volts, but it wasn't receiving a signal to turn on and off. I was told by Zimo, or John at YouTube's, that that part of it had failed or blown. Normally, he says, they blow in pairs, so if the white wire had gone, the yellow one is probably gone. But I tested the yellow wire, and that worked fine. The lights did as I wanted them to do. So it's just the white wire that had failed, and that was a bit of annoying. Took me a while to identify that. I tried to remap the yellow output and change the CV values so the yellow would become the white. Reason for that is I obviously wanted lights on when the locomotive's going forward. If I left the yellow as a default, the lights would only come on in reverse, and that's what the yellow wire is for. I did all the normal remapping and CV changes, but it made no difference at all. So what I had to do in the end, the power inputs on the 8-pin socket, I had to swap them over I had a choice of either swapping them or swapping them at the motor. So reverse would then become forward motion. So yeah, rather than take the top off and change the wiring on the motor, did it at the socket, and it works fine now. The only problem is, normally reverse is now forward motion, which isn't a big issue. So that was the issues with that one. This one was a doddle. I just put another light, single red light on the back here, wired it through, again with a resistor, to this 2-pin male socket. Again, as mentioned earlier, it's just too long, the heat shrink, and they all connect together beautifully, apart from the slight rigidity, which causes a little bit of interference between the mostly between this tender and the Roco. What I'll try and do is stick on a bit on the end of this when it goes dark to show you the light's working. But I now have front and rear tender lights on. And can switch on and off in forward motion now. And the firebox glow, which is, I think it's F6, which plays the coal shoveling. At the same time, the firebox glow flashes, and again I'll show you that later. In addition to that, I wanted this one, the light on the back here, to be independent of these two. So I connected this to the brown wire, which would normally be connected to a smoke sleuth. And that's controlled by F12. So again, as mentioned in a previous video, if I wanted to run it like that, single tender, I can now switch these on, this light on, independent of the front. So I've got front and rear lights. Yeah, the front lights are connected to the white and blue, daisy chained. Then comes down via a resistor to the rear. The the firebox glow is connected to the green wire, which has been set up to simulate the glowing effect in the firebox. Again, via a resistor, it's coming through these 3 pins socket into here, and the wiring in here is the front and rear tender lights connected to the yellow wire now, which has been changed to forward motion, and the red light on this one is connected to the brown wire, so I can independently switch them on and off of the front and rear lights, and it works perfect. And again, as mentioned earlier, if when it goes dark, I'll film the lights working. So what I need to do now is if someone can give me advice on fixing the front of this down without the need to glue, in case I need to take the top off for any reason in the future, please let me know. I've got to glue this. One of the things I hate doing is speedometer. I think they're speedometer cables, are they? Took me ages to get it back on the nut, and then would you believe it? It came off underneath the body, so I'm going to have to glue that back on. There were just lots of niggling problems with this that took the time. So yeah, that's the end of this video. So I hope it was helpful. And you've seen the pitfalls I've got with these connections, and oops, it's gone, with those connections and how to get around it, which I'll do at a later date. because I've had a belly full of this project because of all the niggling little problems. So if I manage to film it later tonight, I'll stick her on the end. If not, I think my next project will be the Silver Fox, where I'm putting front and rear lights and a smokestack in it and a firebox glow. I think that's the next project. I can show you that if you want me to again, stage by stage, how I installed the sleuth and the firebox light and so on. I'm going to have to replace the chimney with a metal one. I can show you that as well. So that's it for now. Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm looking for a Z21, the Roco Z21 controller, because I've decided to sell my ECOS. So if anybody's got one, it's the one with the large Z21. There's two Z21, small Z21 and large Z21. It's the large Z21. So if anyone's got one for sale, please let me know. Thanks for now.